Yeah, recording has started.
All right, Vishal, you want to give the introduction?
Yes. So today, we welcome you all. And today is a unique session where we on our KREC stage. And obviously, being a KRECian, we are proud to hear and to learn his experiences of how Ramesh could able to actually foray into political scene, while most of us are in tech or sales and other functions in the corporate world. So he has chosen a path which is very unique, and we can see that how he is able to carve his way into a political scene, which is actually moving more towards political side, which he'll be able to tell more about, and how he would be able to actually tell us that how a politician can give a different meaning to all of us today. The word politician will be explained, and we can see actually today in real that how Ramesh has brought a different mindset into all of us after this presentation. We could able to see. Please welcome Ramesh. And today we would also be witnessing people from outside. This is a unique session where, of course, politician needs more audience. So we have more KRECians, actually alumni batches will be attending this session, and a special guest actually, which Ramesh has invited. He would also be talking about his experiences in the locality of Ramesh's constituency. So please join me in welcoming Ramesh for a unique session. Over to you, Ramesh.
Yeah, thank you, Vishal. We'll start with that next slide. No?
Ramesh, if you have a chance to turn on your video, it'll be great.
Yeah, I turn on the video once that the video finishes. We have one small video.
No, I mean your video camera.
क्या आप गेस कर सकते हैं किसको ढूंढ रहे हैं? जी हाँ, आप ही को ढूंढ रहे हैं। 20 साल पहले
video. I don't say video.
Vishal, you're able to hear me, right?
Yeah, we are able to hear you.
So 20 साल पहले जो KRECian आपके अंदर था, उसी को हम ढूंढ रहे हैं। वो KRECian जो बदल सकता है दुनिया को। So today, I'm going to share my political journey. And as I see you, in many of the places, you would see very much of resemblance of what I'm doing in you. And maybe towards the end of the presentation, if I believe you liked certain things, and if you are able to make some changes in your place, I think we have done our job today. Yeah, we'll continue the video.
Hey guys, in the video, we are not able to see, I only see that house thing. And I can see the video, but I didn't see any movement.
I think that was SAC, Kanal.
Okay. But no, were there any other stills other than that, or just the SAC?
No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
This is the audio.
I will go to the next slide. So as I entered into the political journey, one of the questions, almost everyone, the media people, my friends, KRECians, my family members, relatives, everyone, one question what everyone asked synonymously was why? Why are you entering into politics? So I thought I will start my presentation by telling the why. So I have a dream. Next slide, to empower people with information. And I believe they will solve their problems themselves, and they will be the change they want to see in the world, like how Mahatma Gandhi ji said. Next slide, please. So if you noticed, KRC is a great institute from government. Of course, I've captured some information of when KRC was founded in the state of Mysore. And one thing, if you noticed in this KRC as an institute, is it is an initiative by a politician sometime in 1960. So what I strongly believe is that any major changes that we can do at this moment in our country is by politicians. So before I start off with my political journey and these slides, I'll just share a few disclaimers. One is that there are certain opinions that I will share. Those are absolutely mine because opinions differ. Second is I'm going to show this as a story. Just like if you see any movie, you would see first the actor is a child, and there are a lot of factors which govern the child. And as the actor grows, he will see those factors influence his second half of his life. So this story is something like that, but only with the difference that I will start with my adolescence and my life at KRC and show you how certain things in KRC and my friends around KRC impacted certain decisions what I took post KRC. Yeah. So with this slide, I would like to make a point that great institutes like KRC was born because of a politician. But however, we always try to be away from the politician. Yeah. Next slide, Vishal. This is my passbook when I joined KRC. So you can see this is a passbook in State of Bank of India, Suratkal KRC. Now, what I also wanted to show over here is this again, State Bank of India also is a bank which got amalgamated by Calcutta Bank and a lot of other banks somewhere around 1950. And I don't think anyone in India is not a customer of SBI. Some or the other way, they are a customer of SBI. So I opened this account in KRC. One of the reasons why I opened this account was when you have cash in your hand at KRC, you spend it off. So when you put it in the bank, that effort of going to the bank around 10 o'clock, taking that token, and then, when you get the break, coming back at 12 o'clock and withdrawing, that effort, is little more that we don't want to go to the bank and withdraw. But knowingly or unknowingly, actually, I was kind of learning the financial lessons, which very often, I think this is a message which I learned a little later in my life. And also through this medium, I like to suggest that you teach this to your children, because institutes like KRC or any other educational institutes, what I see is they teach you the IQ. IQ is more like the intelligent quotient. But what I've seen people become more successful is because of the EQ, which is the emotional quotient. Something like what I'm going to share about the State Bank. So if you see, when I passed out from KRC, actually I was accumulating only liabilities, buying this, buying that, taking loans and all kinds of stuff, because I didn't have that financial literacy. Of course, I saw in KRC MasterKlass now, there's so many classes on financial literacy, which is really nice to see. But however, our academic institutes fail to teach these kind of lessons to people, which is very important. So what I learned a little later in my life is that it's important to create assets. Assets are something which gives you income, say month after month or year after year or periodically, whereas liabilities just take it off. This is as simple as a very simple lesson. But I'm sure these lessons, if they're incorporated to our kids, they would become financially free much earlier on. Now, why I said this was because after, say, 20, 22 years, I've fairly become financially free. If I'd become a little earlier, I'm sure I would have continued this passion of politician way ahead of that. Yeah. So with this, I like to say that, SBI is also an initiative by government, and some politician did this initiative. And you might have seen that you benefited by this in a lot of ways, which I'll share a little later. Now, this is a photograph with my electrical friends in the library. Now, don't mistake that we all went there to read. We just went to take a photograph, because these are all my backbencher friends in Trickle. But why I showed this photo is all these lessons, this EQ lessons were more learned from fellow students in KRC. And what I strongly believed in KRC was the reason why KRC is such a super hit for me is because of the people who are in KRC more than the institute itself. Yeah, next slide. Now, these are our classroom. Now here, this picture I just wanted to share because maximum of my life in the college I spent over here, and maximum of my thinking, my thought process, everything were on these benches sitting and trying to question the status quo of why this is something like this, why this can't be changed. So a lot of such thought process came over here, and this is a very good incubation place for a person like me. Yeah, next. I would also like to share you this one interesting experience of fighting in my first election in KREC. So my friends all pushed me, to contest for this mess manager post. And it's a very interesting story because we canvassed only on the last moment, just before the election, say 1 hour before that we started the canvassing. So I was so involved in the canvassing that I forgot that the time had passed for me to go and put my vote. So finally I went inside, and our professor Sridhar, who's our electric machinery professor, he was the one who was taking the votes. So he said, Ramesh, you can't vote, time is up. So I requested him, but still he didn't agree. But I really liked his honesty in terms of the way he conducted the election process. Then finally the results also came, and ironically it was a tie. So I won, but it was a tie. So I told Sridhar, sir, that you didn't allow me to vote. So can you consider this and make me as the winner? But still he didn't agree. He said, no, I will go by the rules. It's a tie between you and the other person. So what he did is he split the tenure into two of us. So one half the other person, and the other half it was P. But definitely that gave me a very good experience of fighting the election. And I was very impressed the way how Sridhar sir conducted this election, such transparency and such honesty, and he didn't change any rules. And what I'll also like to point out over here to you is, many of us outside the political system, we feel that the election process is not correct, people are tampering and all that kind of stuff. So from my personal experience, I've seen that the election machinery within the Indian system is fantastic. It is foolproof. No one can tamper it. That is what is my personal experience. It has been done very judiciously, and the processes have been followed since 1947, since 1950, since the constitution was formed by Dr. Ambedkar. From that system onwards, I think they're following. It's the same constitution with a little bit of amendments, but it's a very good machinery, and we don't have to doubt on that. We'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so again, this is the main building. Now this photograph I put it because through this system, I just wanted to tell Musa is one of my good friend. I've been trying to search him after I passed out from the college. I've never been able to meet, but there have been a lot good stuff moments which I've spent in the college, learned from Musa. And if any of you can connect me to him, that'd be a great help. I definitely want to meet him once or speak to him once. Next slide. This again is a shop, Krishna shop. The one, if you go to the SBI dead end, you will see the shop. Again, these places were important for me because, as I told you, those EQs, we used to spend good amount of time over here debating on a lot of things, and a lot of wisdom from my fellow classmates. You can see Musa sitting over there. A lot of things we used to understand about, the emotional quotient and life lessons, which has been very, very, very much knowledgeable for a person who came from very low background in Bangalore. Yeah, next slide. Okay, these are also some of my critical friends. Now, why I wanted to share this slide was, now all this is a reason why I'm sharing. You would see that, as I told you, right, the impacts what had happened when you grow up. So, so if you see, these people are very critical because, most of us in the college, at least, the boys hostel, we were totally, we lost our track over there in terms of many things what we were doing. In fact, even in my final year, I was actually in my own track. But these people, the kind of help they did me. One, my final year project, actually, they themselves only did, right from writing the report to printing it, submitting it, most of the things. Because without that report, I don't think the degree would have come. And second thing, what I also liked about these friends was they themselves went to the placement office and they applied to Hindustan Petroleum on my behalf without my knowledge. They just applied. And then finally they said, Ramesh, there's an interview come for you. You need to go to Bombay. I said, when did I apply? So they said, no, we applied on your behalf. They themselves booked the ticket also to Bombay. They sent me to Bombay, and then I came back after attending the interview in Bombay. And one day this person, he runs and comes and says, Ramesh, there's a good news for you. I asked him what happened. He said, you know what, you're selected in Hindustan Petroleum. So why I shared the story was, friends are so critical in your life. actually after passing out from the college, what I've seen is each of us are busy in our own life, and we forget the importance of the friend. It's something like, pati, patni, and your children's, and etc., etc. But then I feel we have to spend quality time with our friends also, because they are also very crucial in our life. And that's the reason actually with these friends, once in 3 months, we all of us meet either virtually or physically if possible in Bangalore or in Chennai or different places. So that time, I get a little bit of happiness meeting our college friends, because there's so many things we shared with each other over there. Yeah. Now it doesn't mean that only they had helped me. It's mutual. So even a lot of times I've seen they also come and say these were the things. But the thing is, if you see, these all helps we have received, without any expectation from them. Yeah. Next slide. So this is the KRC ring ceremony. Vishal, there's a music which is going to come, right? Yeah, that's fine. So here, what I wanted to share was just like any other, student in KRC. Even my dreams are very simple. Our parents have sent us to this college, so we have to, meet their ambitions. So in fact, whenever I used to talk to a lot of people in KRC, this was one thing common everyone told. Although it's an emotional answer, but that is a fact. Everyone whom I'm talked said, boss, I need to take care of my parents because they have trusted me. They send me over here. They've done so much of sacrifices and all that kind of stuff. So I'm also no different. So my main intention was I pass out from here, just try to fulfill the dreams of my parents. And actually, it didn't take me much time. Within a couple of years, whatever expectations they had, I had taken care of that. But why I said this thing, I'll just tell you later in my later slides. Yeah, we'll go to the next one. And again, KRC was a major game changer for me. Not only me, like me, I know that there are many other KRC students who really said actually their entire life, their entire family was uplifted. So before I get to do that, things of how it got impacted, I want to just share one small story and how that impacted the political life. So when I passed out from the college, as I told you, we got employment in Hindustan Petroleum, and I had to join on September 6th. So around August is when we passed out from the college. I was at my home. And that is the time actually my father retired from his work. He also worked in a government office. And at that time, I used to go along with him. He had a moped. So I used to go along with him to the bank because he had to get his retirement money. So my job was to park the vehicle and he will go inside the bank, and I can see the eagerness in which he is going to the bank. And while he was getting to the bank and I entered, I would see there's a disappointment. He'll be speaking to the clerk, and then there's a small disappointment I'll see in his face. So I'll understand that maybe it has not come. And the clerk would have instructed him to go to the first floor. So then me along with my father will go to the first floor. We'll wait outside the manager's office cabin. And after some time, he'll call us inside. We'll go inside. We'll be standing. And since my father is from the Air Force background, he'll give him a salute. And then that person, after some time, will say, no, your retirement money is not come. So when it comes, we'll inform you by a letter. So that time, there was no telephones and others at our house. So they said they'll send a letter. So while coming back, I told my father, I think there is something fishy, what I see over here. But my father, since he's from the Air Force background, he said, we should not question these people. Let's just follow their instruction, whatever they told. So somehow I didn't feel justified to that answer. But what I did is, without my father's knowledge, I took his file, his retirement file, and I went to the head office of that bank. It's a nationalized bank. And I went there and I told the person, hey, you know what? I want to meet the managing director of this bank. So the guy asked, who are you? So I said, I'm an operations officer in Hindustan Petroleum. Even I didn't join, but I just wanted to use that position so that they give me the appointment with him. So he said, what is the reason? You tell me, then I'll give you his meeting. I said, this is the reason. So he said, for that, you don't have to meet the MD. You can meet the AGM. So I told him, no, I want to meet the MD only. He said, no, you go and meet the AGM. Then I said, okay, I will meet the AGM. But if he doesn't give me the solution, I'm going to go and meet the MD. He said, fine, go and meet him. So I went and met the AGM. I gave these details. He did some checking. And then he said, this amount has been transferred 1 month back itself. So I was astonished. Then I asked him, can you give me some transaction details or whatever? So he gave me some reference number. I took that. I came back. Then I showed this to my father. Although my father was a little unhappy that without his knowledge I did this, but he was happy that, I gave a solution to him. So next day we went to the bank. Now this time I could see my father confident, his body posture and everything, because he was empowered with that information of the transaction number that amount is fine. So he went and talked to the clerk. Immediately I could see the clerk's face change. Then he asked us to go to meet the manager. And then we went to meet the manager. So by the time we went to meet the manager, I think he had made an intercall and told this information. This time the treatment by the manager was fairly better. He immediately asked us to come inside. He made us sit. He said, do you want tea, coffee, whatever? And then he said, I think there was some issue, something he said, which we are not coming. But he said, yes, you can go down and collect your money. So we came down and we collected. So my father didn't take the entire money. He just took some money for a satisfaction and came back. So what I could see in this entire exercise was that earlier when he didn't have the right information, the bank manager was misusing him. But when I gave him the right information and he was empowered with that information, and then the bank manager could not, kind of play around with that. So that is where I realized that most of the people in India are being taken for a ride because they don't have the right information. But when you have the right information, you are empowered. And also at that moment, I decided, that was around August. So I would be joining HPCL in September 6th. So I decided that when I become an officer in HPCL, I will never misuse my power. So whatever powers we have, I'll never misuse it. And till the date we resigned from HPCL, I never misuse my power. Even now, whatever powers which has been bestowed to me in my political party and thing, I've never misused that. Because I know that people like my father get affected when someone misuses the power. Yeah. So that is my story. And then I went to the HPCL. So as I told you, the basic things, whatever my parents were expecting, I fulfilled most of the things. And then at some point of time, I had to, because this job was a little mundane and me being a person who needs more excitement in what I do, I had to leave HPCL to get into another journey. But what I wanted to say over here was, every organization which helped me, whether it is KREC or the State Bank of India, which was the account in HPCL also, the first housing loan which I took was from SBI, and my school, Kendriya Vidyalaya, that's also a government. So the government institutes have been a great help for me. And again, all these institutes have been formed because of some politician at that point of time. So it is the politicians who can make such major decisions to make an impact for a country like us. Yeah, next slide. So this is a temple in Nilsandra. So what happened is, many things for my parents I had taken care. But one dream I had that I have to take my parents abroad, but I could not take my father abroad because by then he had passed away. But why I'm talking about this temple is, this temple is actually managed by my grandfather. This is in Nilsandra in a place called Bangalore. So at that point of time in 1940s, he had donated a small amount of money, but now they say it is equivalent to a cost of a site of 30-40. Then my father, from this money, which I told you what he got from the retirement, he took that money and he put electricity and not electricity, the lights, fans and all in this temple. So my family, right from my grandfather, has an affection for this temple. And since I could not take my father abroad, somehow that dream was unfulfilled. So since the day he passed away, from that day onwards till today, that is since 2005 till date, we take care of that annual Dasara festival in this temple. Yeah, later I'll tell you why are these stories I'm sharing with you. We'll go to the next slide. So this is the business that I started 14 years back. It is a CRM business, customer relationship management business. And for the last 14 years, we have helped more than 240 companies across the globe implement marketing, sales, and customer service processes. Now here also, what I would like to say is, most of the MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises, they don't have access to bigger companies, which implement CRM system like the big Bs, they implement systems of big companies. So through this entity, we've been successfully, at least 80% of our customers are MSMEs. We've been able to help them implement these processes, which only big companies were able to afford and implement. And because of which we have seen MSMEs grow from 35% to even 500%. Some of my customers have grown. And you'll be surprised to know that 45% of our economy, the Indian economy, is from the MSMEs. So this is a small, support to MSMEs from our organization. Also, this book which I've written, which is called 3 Pillars of Customer Relationship, it is actually a knowledge which I've gone across the world, interviewed CEOs like Mr. Narayan Murthy and such similar profiles, and put their knowledge into this. So one of the knowledge which I received from Mr. Narayan Murthy, which I like to share over here, is I just asked him one top message which he would like to give it to the readers of this book. So his top message among the multiple messages he gave was, he said, trust. So he says, trust emanates from the transaction that we do with our customers. So if we believe in the customer relationship and if we keep up the trust, then we see that the customers will go and sleep in the night peacefully, thinking that Ramesh is going to take care of my work, and he sleeps peacefully. And that emanates from the transaction we do. So his message to the book readers, number 1 was, please ensure that you keep up to the trust with your customers. So that is one thing which I wanted to share through this. And there is a video also on that website. If you see, there will be a website. Yeah. In that, we can see the entire Narayan Murthy's interview. This slide I wanted to share. This is my family. So my mother. So if you see, finally, I was able to take my mother for an international trip. Here, what I wanted to share you was also a message that a relationship is very important in life. As we are progressing, most of the people I see are very transactional oriented, and they break up relationship very quickly. So here, what I wanted to say is, today, in the last 14 plus years and 22 plus years of professional experience, and plus my adolescence and college days, I have built a relationship across the world. So today you send me to any part of the world, you don't have to give me even a penny of money. There's someone over there who will take care of me over there. And that's because of the relationship that you build. Even if you see this over here, the Twin Tower, here I have a very good friend called Raj. He never allowed me to stay in the hotel. So he compulsorily made us stay in his house, and they become like our family friends now. And even they come to India, they stay in our house. So finally I was able to take. So now I can say, yeah, just that slide back, Vishal. So they say after you pass out, मेरे पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है, bank balance है. अब मेरे पास और माँ भी है. So माँ है, bank balance, everything है. So I think I've kind of achieved for my satisfaction, whatever I feel for which I came to KRC, most of the things I've achieved. And after 22 years, I felt that, yeah, this is Malaysia. That, somewhere I have to give back. So many people have helped me to come up to this level, and I have to help them. So I felt politics is one way through which I can start giving it back to the society. Next slide. Yeah. So if you see in the business, we have started giving it back. So if you see in 1998, when I passed out, HPCL gave me that platform to improve me and our family. And now after 22 years, ITI Limited, which is the first public sector unit, which was started by Pandit Nehru, who was our first Prime Minister. Today, we are giving back to them. We take their services, we pay them money. They also made us their partners for data center. We are giving them business for data center. So in a way, I'm happy that, earlier I was dependent on a public sector for my living. Today, we have turned the wheel and we are supporting back the public sector units. Yeah. Next. So one disclaimer which I forgot to tell in the starting of this presentation was, there are certain things I'm telling in this story. It is not to brag about me or whatever, but with the intention that if you feel something is resonating with you and you would like to replicate it, that is the intention. All right, so now here I put 2 spoons. So one is actually a small spoon, which is what I was having till some time back, which is, for yourself. The other one, if you see, is the serving spoon, where you can serve others. So I'm happy to say that now I switched from the small spoon to the bigger one, where I'm happy to serve many people in different ways. Yeah, next. Also, if you see, the reason why I showed you all those stories was because that serving, somehow I felt it was there in my grandfather's gene. It's not so simple that in the 1940s, they make such a big contribution. Even my father, his entire life he worked and then he donated that to the temple. So somehow I feel I got this from my parents, and serving is what we like. So before I started my political journey, first I met with the chief election officer, understood the things. Now what I realized with meeting with the chief election officer was, as I told you, right, our election system is fantastic. It is flawless. And, and what I also realized is the people in the chief election officer, they themselves don't know many of the things what is there in our election system, which was written by Dr. Ambedkar. Everything, he's analyzed the system so well. Actually, I was really appreciating Dr. Ambedkar when I was contesting, because in that every clause, he has thought about every clause. If something like this happens, this is the consequence. If something like that happens, he has analyzed it so well and written that constitution. And even today, that constitution for election and other things work so well. Yeah, next slide. And also, if you see, I gave one book to that person. So the intention of the book also is to improve the customer service of government officials. Then I met Prashant Bhushanji to understand his pulse of current affairs. Next slide. Next slide, Vishal. Yeah. Then before contesting, I was always planning to contest independently, because the way I analyzed, I saw that in India, like even you had filled a lot of these forms. I saw that in your registration forms, most of you people are saying that, you need transparency, you need accountability of people, you need decentralized way of functioning things, all these things in the current system. And then I also noticed some of you filled saying that give us basic facility without any hassles. Don't you think it's ironical? 70 plus years of independence India has, and still we're asking about basic things, without hassles to get for us. So these were some of the things which I was actually questioning. Why are we still struggling for basic things? Why is that not got? So if I had to contest in any major parties, I saw that the major parties are like a dacoit and a devil. So both of them are more or less the same. So I thought, I don't see anyone who's meeting my ideology of what I want to do, and I wanted to contest independently. That is when, I don't know, God's grace or whatever, I got a chance to meet Prashant Bhushanji and Yogendra Yadavji, and I tried to bounce upon my ideas and all that. And actually, I would say their ideologies and mine were very close. I would not say although 100%, it was very close. So then I filled this application form. Can you show that application form, Vishal? So what I liked about this application process was, if you noticed, I contested for the MLA election. MLA is a person who creates laws in the state. MP is a person who creates law in the center. Now, if you noticed, more than 50% of the people who are MLAs and MPs, they have heavy criminal records, kind of thing. So do you think if a criminal comes into the legislation, a criminal comes to the parliament, do you think they'll make some good laws? So what I liked over here with Swaraj India was, if you can go to the last page, there's the application form which I filled. Here they clearly mentioned, do you have a police complaint? Have you been punished? They're very particular on this. In fact, there were big stars, film stars also applied along with me, but their all applications were rejected. So I like the process that, they were waiting that if you have a criminal record, they will not give you a ticket. What I also liked is, they didn't announce that I got a ticket till the last moment. They did so much of, people came to my house, they came check with my neighbors, lot of due diligence, including they did an analysis of my entire assets, if you know how it has come legally, my IT returns, lot of due diligence went in that. And finally, the next day before the ticket was given, you can go back to the PPT, Vishal. Vishal, you can go to the PPT.
Yes, I'm trying.
Yeah. So while Vishal is going to the PPT, so what I liked is, so the day before they announced the ticket, Yogendra Yadavji came to Bangalore, and I was driving him in my car. So he was, Yogendra Yadav said, I had to drop into the NDTV's channel partner office because he had an interview. And during the drive, he told Ramesh, see, actually, I'm not going to take a decision on your ticket, because this is going to be a decision which is taken by the local team in Karnataka. So I like that process that he had decentralized that decision. But he said, mine is only a thappa, but the decision will be by then. Yeah, I'm not able to see the slide, Vishal.
Just a minute. We're just trying to share that screen. Can you see now?
Not yet.
Still seeing the Swaraj India only.
Yeah, the application, showing the application.
So once you realize that you had all these people, 50% had a criminal record. So do you then think that you have to commit crimes to be able to qualify, or how do you, what's your thought process?
Me, yeah, because I didn't have any criminal record. My criminal record zero.
Go join a gang for a year, huh? Before you join these days.
What is it?
You have to go join a gang to build your criminal record before you become.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the current system is like that. 50% of people have a criminal record.
Brilliant.
And also, that was one of the reasons why Yogendra Yadav came out from the other party which he had co-founded. Because there also they started giving tickets to the criminal candidates.
Vishal, I think you have to go back, I think. This is only the word. You have to find the PPT. There is the other tab, political journey, the other last but one tab.
Yeah.
No, the next one. Yeah, maybe that one. Yeah.
Yeah, this one actually we were running, but it is.
I think one more tab. There are two tabs open.
I think it has gone into full screen. So you could just click that. It would get out, and then you can present again.
No, there are two tabs actually open to the same file. So I think the other one is the one.
Is it?
Yeah, there are two tabs by name political journey. So you can check.
Praveen, could you pause? Thank you.
Yeah.
So I think I'll try to finish it quickly so that there'll be more time for Q&As if you have. All right. So the next slide, Vishal. So I came here, so this was actually an event called by Swaraj India. So Swaraj India is an amalgamation of 4 entities. So all the entities were here, media, everyone. So they told me just sit in the front seat. So I sat. Till then, they were not told that I got a ticket. And finally, then the Karnataka's president, he came and announced I got a ticket. So that's the time only when I knew that I got a ticket in this. And Swaraj India didn't take any money from me for the ticket. In fact, they gave me some money for contesting the members. So I like those all processes. One, it was decentralized, so there's no high command. Second, criminal record checking. Third, they didn't tell the ticket till the end moment that that you're getting the ticket. Fourth, even big stars, they were rejected because they didn't go through the scrutiny process. So I like these processes. What is followed by Swaraj India. And also, what I also liked personally interacting with tall leaders like Yogendra, and they're very simple. Even when he comes, he stays very simple. Even if you give him a small chadar, he'll just put it on the floor and sleep. He doesn't expect very high-end treatment and all that kind of stuff. So very simple person and works like like he's work alcoholic. I've seen him, during our election campaign, he'll come for campaigning for me, and I'll drop him at the place where he stays at around 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, there'll be a big team waiting for talking to him. Then he will talk with them. And at 3 o'clock, again, he will leave to Mysore. So I've seen he's really very hardworking. He's a very motivating person for me.
Again?
Next slide. So media did a good coverage. Next slide. Next slide, Vishal. So this was a very good experience. The first time a media interviewed me. So they interviewed me and it was well appreciated. The answers what I gave was appreciated by Swaraj India members, and a lot of citizens really liked my answers. So, if this slide is going to be shared to you, please read this slide. Most of my insight I've put in this interview, and it's well covered by Deccan Herald. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Many other medias in Kannada and others. Now, what I liked over here with my interaction with media, right? The written media is actually fairly better. They're not too much biased. So I like the written media very much during my campaigning process. And in that, I would like to appreciate the Hindu. Hindu are the people who really impressed me very well in terms of accurately covering what I mentioned to them, and also the language that they use. It was phenomenal. Yeah, next. Yeah, some more media news. Yeah, next. So if you noticed over there in the media, they kind of positioned me as the second candidate, competing. Like they said, no, he'll come second like that. All right, so this is the election campaigning. It started over here. So people across Swaraj India, all over India, they came to Bangalore to support me for campaigning. We took some vehicles. So if you see that electrical vehicle, that was a message from us to the citizens saying that, the last mile connectivity, which is a challenge, can be solved by electrical vehicles. And this vehicle became a super hit because wherever we went for campaigning in this vehicle, the kids wanted a jolly drive. So we gave them a drive in that. They will themselves come and, say, vote for Ramesh and all that. Although we said don't do it, but it was a nice experience for the kids to come in that electrical vehicle and move around. Yeah, and some of the experience in this election, just you can go to the back slide, yeah, was what I realized was during the election time, the election machinery works fantastic. The entire power of the constituency lies with the returning officer. The returning officer is like the supreme authority for that constituency. She has, in my case, it was a she. She has every power what she wants to do in that. She can transfer a DCP of police. She can get someone, whatever she wants, she can do it at that time. In fact, I've seen in Tamil Nadu, a lot of DCPs of police were transferred by a returning officer because they were biased during the election. Now, why I said this was, during the election, we had hired that auto. You can see that auto, the first photo. So that guy, I think he got some money from my opposition guy, and he suddenly vanished. He didn't come for the campaigning one fine morning. So I called the DCP of, because when we were submitting the application, all that, the DCP were called and they were introduced to me. So I just made one call to the DCP of Whitefield. I told him, this is the problem. This guy is vanishing. You would be surprised, within 5 minutes, that auto was there in front of my house. I was surprised. I was surprised how the machinery works. He has made a call to the ACP of traffic. ACP of traffic has called to that local police guy. The local police guy with that number, he knows where this auto is. I don't know how, but I think the local police knows which auto is where. Within 5 minutes, that auto driver and the traffic police was there in my house. He said, sir, I brought him here. I reprimanded him. He will be there with you. So that is what opened up my eyes, saying that that the bureaucratic things works very well. Only thing is the political line, which is on top of the bureaucrats, they're not allowing them to work. So I was really astonished with that. Then the second thing which I'd also like to tell is, a small candidate like me, I'm contesting for the first time. I don't know anything about politics, but still we could make the big difference. So in Bellandur, there was one campaign of a union minister. He is supposed to come. That time he was not the union minister. Now he's the union minister. So they had organized this campaign, but it was like a pompous affair, too much of money and shani and all that kind of stuff. So I just wrote one letter to the returning officer saying, Madam, can you tell me, this union minister is coming? Have they taken a permission to do this? And can you tell me what is the amount they're going to spend? And to my surprise, that trip was cancelled because they had not taken the permission, and the money they were about to spend was huge, and which would have gone beyond the budget, which was around 25 lakhs or 27 lakhs was the spend for MLA. So that expense was much more than that. So that event was cancelled. So then I realized even a small candidate like me can make such a big impact by following the right processes. The next story which I also like to share is, all that money distribution is one big affair in the election. It's a known fact. That's what I realized, right from the chief election officer till his top, the chief election in Delhi. Everyone knows money distribution happens, but no one is controlling it. So I thought, let me make one attempt. Let me see how this machinery works. But somehow I saw in that place, the people are tight. They could not do, but still I made an attempt. So I knew that at one place they're going to distribute money, and there's one hub where they're collecting the money. So I informed this to the IRS officer. IRS is the revenue officer. He had come from Bombay. So I wrote him a letter saying, sir, I got an intimation that this is the hub and they're collecting. Can you take the action? So he said, I'll take the action. Then I was keep on following. He didn't respond. Then finally he responded to me the next day after everything happened. So I told, sir, your people didn't do anything. They distributed the money. So he told me, no, we came there. But as per the rules, we can't get inside the house. We can only from outside only, monitor that. So somewhere I realized that these IRS officers are governed by the central government, and somehow they are a little scared to take some drastic actions, and he couldn't do. But what happened is, finally after the election, when I had to file my expenses, I filed my expenses. My returning officer always appreciates me. So she was telling, he's one of the best candidates with whom I've interacted in this assembly constituency thing. And even the IRS officer, he came and he sat with me and he told all the party guys, see the way how Ramesh has filed his expense, please replicate the same format. He has done a good way of putting his expenses. And then he told me, Ramesh, I liked your honesty and the way you contested the election. Even I was like you when I came, when I became an IRS officer, I thought I'll come and I'll change many things, like with one word I'll do. But unfortunately, when I came, the system is not like that. So I could not do that. So I know that you had told me to catch that, but please understand what I'm trying to say. That's what he said. But somehow that answer is not convincing for me, because definitely at some point of time, I've taken this. I will ensure that this distributing of money kind of process will stop in some other time in the elections. So this was my experience in terms of that. Now, what I would like to tell you is, if you see someone giving money, at least if you go and impact, you can, because right now what I've seen is the way how politicians are winning election is only by distributing money. They give 2,000 rupees per person, and people like us, we don't have so much money to spread everywhere, because if you see, my constituency is 115 square kilometer. Practically, with the volunteers which I had, I could not cover the entire constituency. So the other people who win and contest in a big way, they have that enough money to penetrate everywhere. So where and all I could penetrate, I told them not to collect money. They believed in me. They didn't collect money, but I could not reach that. But what through you I'm sending the messages, if you meet someone who was being given money, just tell them this one thing, because this analytics, they don't see it. I think this is done by Aam Aadmi Party, this analysis, which I really appreciate them. So they have said that a person should get approximately around 15,000 of government services every month, rupees 15,000. And if you put it in a period of 5 years, it is approximately 9 lakhs worth of services from the government. So they're losing this approximately 9 lakhs. It would be more actually, approximately 9 lakhs of services just by collecting that 2,000 rupees. So if you find people who are collecting money and putting vote, just ask them. And if you can change even one person in your ward, in your constituency, not to collect money and vote to the right candidate. In fact, I've seen in the survey, what you've written is, you want a local candidate, irrespective of the party, to contest, who knows the problem. So let them put vote to a local candidate who understands your problem, and let them put to a candidate who can solve your problem, rather than just giving you 2,000 rupees and you take that money and vote. So this was one thing which really disheartened me, because that money. Yeah.
If you're not a candidate, can you still complain and stop this money distribution?
Yes,
Will
yes,
the IRS?
every citizen has the right to do that. You can write to the IRS officer in that constituency, or to the returning officer, and even as a citizen, you can take that action. Put it in writing and take that from them. Take an acknowledgement. I've seen with government officials, it is by written thing only you can. By telling verbally, it doesn't happen. You write, take an acknowledgement from them, put the photograph, and you can actually also take it as a case. You can put a case also. There are a lot of lawyers in the government who without money, they will fight for these kind of things.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can take it.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I have understood, I have not gone to details. I believe there are some candidates who are even disqualified, who are found to do this. So even if the candidate wins, and if you prove in the court of law that he had given money and he got the vote, they can disqualify that candidate even after winning. Okay, so that was one sad experience which I had, which I could not do much impact. But other all things I was able to do, except for this money. This is a big issue, and I'm sure if we solve, good candidates can come up, because it is not equal. Dr. Ambedkar has written the constitution saying that the election should be that, it should be equal level. But this money part, that's the only place where I say it's not equal.
Go
to the next slide.
Just for Lok Sabha.
The election campaigns with YYG. YYG appreciated my, delivery, answering the questions in the next slide. So this is the next slide, Vishal. Yeah, this is the Whitefield Rising. It's a large citizen action forum in Whitefield. They came to my house with their 10 agenda points, and they interviewed me. That was a very good support they gave. And they distributed this video across people. Next slide. This is actually, this was a forum organized with the leading candidates. You can see all the leading candidates, whether it's BJP, Aam Aadmi Party, Swaraj India, Janata Dal or Congress. All of them were called in a forum and they asked questions and we had to answer them. Here, I think the citizen gave a very good feedback on me. That is when, the other candidates really got a jolt. They felt that I can be a good contest for them. And they made a sign on a 10-point agenda saying, if you win the election, you will do all these things. Yeah, so that is what. But whatever I've signed, even without winning, actually many of them, I have done it in my ward, which I'll share you later. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so here you can see people are taking selfies. Actually, after this event, the citizens liked so much. There were so many selfies, so many photos. Even actually the police officials, they were coming and wanting to take photos and other things. Then I could see actually even the government officials are so frustrated with the current set of, elected representatives. Here, this photograph, I shared it because one parent of this kid, he came, he asked them to take a photograph with me. And he said, you should become like him. So that was an emotional thing. Yeah, next slide. And during that, so this is the one which they covered in the media. These are the people. You can see they put me in the second position, whatever comments which I had given in that. And here, one last comment which they asked me to say and which I really liked was, while ending, they said, can you tell one solid point to the audience? So my message to them was, when Neil Armstrong kept his first foot on the moon, for him, it was a small step. But for the entire universe, it was a big step because of the first person getting into the moon. So similarly, Ramesh and Swaraj India coming into electoral politics is a small step for Ramesh, but for clean politics, transparent politics, all those points which you mentioned, right? Transparency, accountability, local governance, for all that, it is a major step, and which we have already started, which I'll show you in the next slides. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, this again, a lot of coverage in the media. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So here, so I know that I will not win the election, but the intention of coming to the election is to make a difference. Make a difference in the way how you contest the election. Make a difference in terms of the way how people perceive a politician should be. Make a difference in the way how you say what you're going to do. Make a difference in the way you speak with the, like that forum what they organized. So here, the difference which we made was the deposit money which I had to pay to the returning officer. I took that money from the citizens only. So every person with whom we went in campaign, we said, you donate the money and this money is going towards my deposit money. So that's how we collected the money and made a difference. So it was the citizens' money which went to the returning officer as a deposit money. And next slide. Then we started a fundraising campaign on keto. So we got close to around 76,000 rupees. Next slide. So, here, what I wanted to share is one thing, it says if you put your effort, an equal effort would be put by the universe. So I realized that happened over here. I never expected an endorsement from BPAC. And I never expected that Kiran Mazumdar Shahji from BPAC would give me 2 lakh rupees. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so you can see this 2 lakh rupees. So this is where I see, if you put your effort, the universe will support you. That's the reason I showed you that temple, the Sandana Mariamman temple, yearly once we go. I feel these are all blessings from the God because, when you do your work properly, definitely the support will come from the universe. So this was a good support for me for my campaigning. And also that endorsement, and they marketed my candidate in their media. Next. Yeah, so this is my returning officer who really liked me very much. Her name is Shailaja. So, when we gave the nomination paper, it was put. Can you open that link? So here, the difference was we gave them all that 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee, 20 rupee, 50 rupee, 100 rupee coins. And they counted. So for them, is the returning officer saying, I think for you, the application process was faster. For others, it was more time because you filled everything properly. But what took me more time is counting the money. So can you scroll down? That is my mother who was with me while giving up. Can you scroll down, Vishal? Let's show them the photograph, how the officials are counting that deposit money. So you can see that, see that 5 rupee, 1 rupee, 2 rupee, all these coins, they took good amount of time counting it. But then that was the difference what we made, and the media talked very well. Even the Hindu covered this news very well. Yeah, we'll go to the next slide. So this was the difference what I was telling you, which a person can come and make in the election. It's not necessary you should win or lose. If you make a difference, that makes a lot of
yeah.
So you need to go a few more slides back. Few more slides back. Yeah, back.
Yeah.
Yeah, next slide. So this was my manifesto, and my symbol was Biro. In fact, I wanted to do many more innovative things like, that electric thing. In fact, I wanted to put a Biro on top of the auto, but because of limited budget, we could not do. So we made this and we distributed across people. Next slide, Vishal. Yeah. So after the election, there was a review meeting. So YYG came from Delhi to Bangalore. And in the review, the team appreciated, said Ramesh was the best candidate in our party. And that was an appreciation I received from the party. They said in all factors, I excelled their expectations. So that was a happy moment for me. Next slide. Yeah. So then if you see, I had told YYG and the team that even after the election, I win or lose, I'll continue this activity. And also YYG, during many of our interaction, he said, Ramesh, see, this is a struggle. It is not just 3 months or whatever the election thing like that. It's a continuous struggle. And, it'll take even 50 years. There's possibility that even in 50 years also, you might not get power or you might not be in a position, but are you ready? So I said, yes. So that's how I kept my promise and continuing it. I know maybe in my entire tenure, also, I might not get elected, possibly, but we are creating a platform, in which the next generation can come and they can take over the battle. So this is the project which we did. Most of you are saying clean, clean, clean. So we did a project on solid waste management. Next slide.
Ramesh, this is Premraj here.
Yeah. So next slide. So the objective was to ensure that there are regular door-to-door pickup in Dodanakundi ward, one of the ward in Mahadevpura. Earlier, it used to come only once in a week. After a project, it comes every day. These are all the things what we did. Next slide.
Hey, Ramesh, there's a question from Premraj.
Shall we take it? Another few slides, Prem. We'll just finish it. Yeah. Next slide. So before doing the project, I gave a press interview saying that these are the things we will do. And after 1 year, whatever I given, you don't have to open this because I didn't take time. If you are sharing the slide, people can go to this. And whatever I said in the media, we implemented that after 1 year. And next slide. So see, earlier, this is how it was. This was the black spot. Then after we did, you can see the down. It is transformed. So 99.99%, the black spot is reduced over here. But then there were a lot of challenges when we did this. This became like a kind of a, attractive exemplar black spot, because first we wrote a message saying that the educated throw the garbage on the street, the uneducated clean it. So it reduced few percent. Then we put garden, it reduced few percent. Then the KB came and broke the garden. They put the entire plant, they put electric pole on it. Then again, I talked to the MD of Bescom in Bangalore, Mr. Rajesh Gowda. Then he immediately, and I was surprised, within a day, they rectified that. Then again, we put the plant. Then again, people did. Then after a lot of struggle, finally now it is reduced to 99.9%. Now in Mahadevpura, this is an example for them that a black spot can be converted into a greenery. Yeah, next. We put these fine boards across our ward saying that, no, if you do this, and they collected. In fact, Mahadevpura was the highest fine collector in terms of this. Next slide, Vishal. So we created a micro plan in which we analyzed the entire ward. Now here also I'd like to share you my experience was we gave one sheet of paper to 5 supervisors in Dodanakundi ward. We said it had details like how many number of chicken shop, mutton shop, above 50 units, less than 50 units, barber shop. That is one big list, and we told them you do survey and come back. I thought they'll take 2 to 3 months. To my surprise, within 2 days they came back to me with the data. So we put all the data in that sheet. Then we presented the sheet to the commissioner of BBMP's solid waste management. Then he increased the tipper vehicle from 21 to 41. Then we made our work. You can see later, you can click on that. We created a Google map. In the Google map, you have the 41 blocks. When you click on the block, it'll tell who is the supervisor, who is the auto driver, what's his number, and all that kind of things. And then we nominated 2 Suchi Mitras for each block. Now, after a year, the system has really become well, and the commissioner has replicated what we done in Dodanakundi across Mahadevpura and Bomanali zone. Then I believe this will get replicated everywhere. Now we are pushing them to the next level, where we are asking them to put a GPS, which they have started. And then the GPS, we want to now link it inside the Google map, so that end of the month, they can generate a bill that this is the route you went and this is the bill. Because right now, they're not able to track. That's the reason the vehicles don't come regularly. Yeah, next. Yeah, so this is an interesting project. In the government school, girl child, boy child, both of them have the same toilet. So once I got an opportunity to meet the additional chief secretary, and I wrote a mail to her, and she was good enough to give some grant to the school. And seeing that, the BEO got some funding from NGOs like Microland, and this was built in a record span of 1 year. Yeah, you just see the tree over there, 3 trees. I'll tell you why I asked you to see that. Yeah. Go to the next slide, Vishal. Then next is someone, I think Uma Sridharan, she said clean water. So we started this project with the BWSSB. So I met the chairman of BWSSB. Whatever we did in BBMP, I think they've given a good feedback to the chairman of BWSSB. So he appointed me as a Jala Senani, official designation by BWSSB. So with this, I can go and work with their officials in the ward. And we are working with a visionary goal of 20,000 liters of clean water for all the metered connection in a ward. I think it is 85% done. In another 2 weeks, this will be fulfilled. Yeah, next. So we had organized a bus darshan to the BWSS officials. You can see in that bus, we showed them, and after that, they started this project. Yeah, next. Next slide. Yeah, then can you see that 3 trees which I said? So this was last year we did this eco-friendly clay Ganesha to the school. So we brought the eco clay. Then they themselves made the Ganesha. They used that Ganesha for celebrating Ganesha festival in the house. At that time last year, you can see that the toilet is not there. The 3 trees, you can see it is transparent. Within a year, that toilet was built. Yeah. Next. Next slide. Yeah. These are my, yeah. I don't know how come this came out here. Okay. Next. Next slide. Yeah. Then one of the challenges I saw, Mahadevpura is a constituency where people speak English more and Hindi. So they find it difficult communicating with the officials. So we started this along with an NGO called Anvaya, Kannada teaching to the people who don't know Kannada. So non-Kannadiga to Nanu Kannadiga. So already we are on the 2nd batch in our ward, and Anvaya has done more than 40-50 batches across Bangalore. Yeah. Next. So many of you in your feedback, you have written that you want decentralized, local, empowerment, all that kind of things is what you had asked for. So this was a protest. What we did it with BPAC organization, where we walked from Vidhan Sauda, which is the Legislative Assembly for Karnataka, towards BBMP, which is the Municipal Corporation, saying that the power should go from Vidhan Sauda to the thing. So where you can get local governance. So for your information, there's a 74th amendment in our constitution, which was passed almost 21 years back, which says that local governance should come. And that is actually a dream of Mahatma Gandhi 70 years back. So he had said that Grama Swarajya means a person in a village should be empowered to take a decision on what he wants. That is what the 74th amendment says. But even after 70 years of our independence, yeah, it is still a dream, although they passed it as an amendment. So what this says is, it says you have to form a ward committee of 10 members, which is a mix of RWAs, NGOs, women, reserved people, all these kind of things. And they should have a monthly meeting on the first Saturday and decide what the ward should want. Not the corporator should not decide, neither the MLA should decide. Further, what it also says is, for every 5,000 citizens, there should be one area Sabha leader. This area Sabha leader will understand what these 5,000 people want. Unfortunately, our current elected representatives, they don't want to decentralize. So we had protested. I think it is progressing. That is, the ward committees have been formed. Area Sabhas, I think they will get formed in the next tenure. Yeah. And I think if this is done, most of the answers what you said, you said you want clean road, you want pothole-free road, you want that, you want this. All that is possible if it is decentralized. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so many of you wanted, you were saying eco-friendly, green and all that. So we went and did a survey with this kitchen. This is run by Mr. Anand Kumar, who was earlier the union minister, his wife. He was also running it. So what I liked about this kitchen is there is zero waste generating out of this kitchen. So whatever is generated over there as waste, it gets recycled over there, like as a fuel or whatever. So it's called Adamya Chaitanya. If you do Google videos, a lot of things you'll get it. So I invited madam to my ward. She's accepted it. So I wanted to take to one big kitchen over here, where they're making more than 10,000 meals and they're generating huge garbage. So if we can make a difference over there, I feel that'd be one green initiative from our end. Next slide. Yeah, I had a good meeting with the ex-governor of Uttarakhand and Goa just to understand how life is as a governor. Because when they're a governor, it is very difficult to meet. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So during the Corona time, we distributed this face shields for PHC, primary healthcare workers, traffic police people, a lot of people, even the PKs, Paura Karmikas, auto tipper vehicle guys. This was an initiative by BPAC. Next slide. So the people who are hungry, more than 500 dry ration kit we were able to distribute. Next slide. Next slide, Vishal. Yeah, this is as of last week. So there are more than 26,000 sweet boxes which we distributed across Bangalore through our 300 plus volunteers in BPAC. So this is the one I had managed 3 wards: Marathali, Kadugodi, and not Kadugodi, Marathali, Garudacharpalya, and Dodanakundi. I had also had the opportunity to supervise the other wards in Madhepura. So this was an initiative and a donation by Kiran Mazumdar Shah madam to appreciate their work during Corona time. Yeah, next slide, Vishal. Vishal, next slide. Okay, now if you see, we wanted to distribute this to the normal route, how it was getting distributed, but this time we decided not to do, because last time when we distributed 3,000 kits from Akshay Patra, we saw that the politician put their photos and and it went to the voters, not to the migrant workers. So that's the reason this time our volunteers decided we ourselves should do it. I'm not able to see the screen, Vishal.
Ramesh, I think Vishal got dropped.
Sure.
Maybe somebody can start going through them as well.
Yeah,
you want to kick off? Ramesh, are you back?
Yeah, I can answer you.
Praveen, go ahead.
Yeah,
Ramesh, you can see?
Ramesh, I'll read out the question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's from Nagesh again. On one hand, we heard about how politicians have been responsible for change over time, like the examples of KRC, SBI, etc. you gave. However, on the other hand, there's also talk of how politicians from major parties are not worthy of it. Each one of those big changes that you referenced probably came from such politicians from major parties mainly.
Yes.
How does one understand this paradox?
Yeah, correct. So what I realized was, see, one of my, again, interest is, see, I've not come here to win the election or lose the election, whatever. I've come here to make a difference. So what I believe is, even if I'm able to change the elected representative in my constituency, it is possible. And what I also realized is there are good elected representatives in each party and they are bad. Unfortunately, in the time which I mentioned, 1950s and 1960s, the proportion was more. Maybe 80% were good and 20% were bad. But now the proportion has changed. It is 20% are good and 80% are bad. So that 80% who are good have made all those decisions in 1950s and 60s, which still we are getting benefited. But over a period of time, when the ratios change, it's 20 who are good and 80% are bad. That's the reason people like me have come in. But still, I have come here to make a difference. Even if I transform my own elected representative and make him do good, then I don't have a work. I can go back and run my business and continue my passion. My passion is to empower people with information, train them. I'll go back to those activities, which I'm again doing, but in a larger way. So to answer your question, there are good people, there are bad people. My success would be to transform these bad people also to good, which already I've done for a couple of people which have not put in this, because still they have not passed my quality test. When they pass, I will definitely certify them saying that this was a bad politician, but he has been changed now. And I work across the party lines. If you see, these projects are well successful because the elected representative in my ward supported me doing that. Yeah, so we'll continue with the slides.
Yes.
So this slide I put it because when we gave this face shields, and when people start using it, we feel happy. So you see this doctor in PHE, she's wearing that face shield which we had donated. So I was really happy to see that she's using it effectively. And we had given sweets to them as well. Yeah, next. Yeah, so this is my semi-final sheet. So we had also implemented a CRM system for the Department of Information and Public Relationship, Government of Karnataka, where during that lockdown 1.0, there were 18,000 plus corona warriors in Bangalore, and they were totally headless, clueless what they're doing. After implementing the CRM, I think their process is very streamlined about issuing their ID cards, assigning them activities and all that. And of course, 500 plus food kits. Now we also started a Be Safe constituency for women's safety in Mahadevpura. Bus facility we have started. We're going to start it from next month. We are starting a mini bus in Dodnakundi, which will help these women, government workers and women people to connect to the main road or to the metro. So this we already given a letter to Ms. Shika. She has approved that. It might come next month. Then now what I also see is now people have started recognizing us. So they come to my house periodically for their problems. And then since we have built the second line of leaders, I direct them to the second line of leaders. And most of them come back saying that, no, yes, my problem is solved. So I'm happy to hear that. And in the next 12 months, as I told you, 20,000 liters, it's already, I think we don't have to wait for 12 months. The next month itself will be solved. Yeah, and the journey continues. So here I would like to close with one dialogue before we start opening up questions. This is a clue I've taken from the KREC Masterclass video. So, I didn't come to politics to win or lose. But still, after losing also, you have seen there are so many things we have done. क्योंकि हार के भी जो जीतता है उसको बाजीगर कहते हैं. Thank you so much and back to you for questions. Nagesh. Yeah, go ahead.
Nagesh, go ahead and read the questions because I think I've lost them. My connection went off in between. So just go ahead and read those.
I can pick from the first question that came up actually. Okay. So I think the first one was from Amit Ramesh, which was Amit's question was, how do honest politicians support themselves and their family? How much salaries do they get? What happens when you are out of power? Does one have to go back to look for work while continuing politics in your spare time without compensation?
Correct. So an MLA gets close to 1.5 lakh of salary when he is in position. Also, currently MLAs and MPs, even if they're one-term MLA, they get a pension when they are out of their role. So that will take care of them. Second is, but the corporator salary is very less. It is approximately 10,000 rupees. So honest corporator, it will be difficult. That's the reason if you see in that 74th amendment protest what we did, we also asked them to improve the salary of a corporator. Now next is in terms of the salary, so a politician like me, okay, what I have committed to Swaraj India is if I get elected, the worst case, okay, I would give my salary 50% minimum to the party back. And I see honest politicians. In fact, I know, I've heard from other people in leading parties, good MLAs, good MPs, they even give 100% of their salaries to the party. That's how their party have grown. So I'm talking about, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's days and, those days. Yeah, so does that answer your question?
Amit, do you have a follow-up that you want to ask? Or do you want to
yes, sir, thank you. That's very, very useful. Thank you. So the question I always have in my mind is, how does a person like Rajiv Gandhi, not Rajiv Gandhi, but Rahul Gandhi or so on, for example, they claim to be so humble and so on, but they still seem to be going to Thailand for vacations. Where does their money come from if they're honest people? Is it like they're getting, even if they're not in power, they're getting a lot of money from the government to sustain that lifestyle?
Yeah, see, so what I've seen, so I don't know why the income tax is not questioning these people, because I was analyzing when you contest for election, right, you have to file your entire your assets, liabilities, everything you have to file it. So what you see is, if you see the elected representatives, their assets keep growing, and I don't know why income tax is not raising those questions. But what I've seen is definitely the legal way they earn. If, for example, MP approximately 2.5 lakhs is what they get. So they will not be able to make that hundreds and thousands of crores what they're doing. But at the same time, if you see, I don't know about Rahul Gandhi, but I can talk to you about my constituency. See, in my constituency, there's one political leader called MTB Nagaraj. Okay, so his asset is 1,000 crores. Okay, now in his case, he's very transparent in filing all that which he's earned it through his business. But then what I've seen is when you're earning through business, also when you have the political power, the capability to earn more is much higher. And I've seen earning the few lakhs is very difficult. Earning crores is very easy in business. So most of these politicians, at least the ones which are showing it legally, I think that position of that MLA or MP has helped them grow their business more through which they earn. And of course, illegal people, they have different means, to get that money. And that's the reason when that Notebandi came, a lot of these people had challenged. So I don't have a clear answer for Rahul Gandhi because he's not there, but MTB Nagaraj, from whatever I analyzed, he has grown through his business.
Thank you.
And the position has helped him grow more in his business. For example, he owns all these, this Manyata, Tech Park and all this, those things. So he gets crores of rent. But then he's getting that crores of rent because he has that position and people are able to, give him that land on multi-development and all the kind of stuff.
So, Ramesh, the next one was from Pradeep Subudhi. I think you've sort of answered this throughout, but let me just anyway ask it if you have something to add. Question was, what are your thoughts on cleaning up the political environment and getting more worthy candidates?
Yeah, so if you see, I'm an example of that. So if you see my very own contesting is kind of an example. And today I see in my constituency, many more people talk to me and say, Ramesh, you inspired me. I want to contest corporate election. You inspired me. Next time I want to contest the MLA election. So I feel I'm an example in my constituency. Like me, you people also in your own wards and constituency, you can make the difference or identify the good person, irrespective of whether he wins or loses. But let him contest and make a difference. Because when you contest, I feel you're making a difference.
Okay. So
and also, as I told you, right, I'm working with all the parties. So in my own way, I'm trying to tell the people who listen to us to put good candidates.
Okay. So next one was from Praveen Dalij itself. That is, how do you fund these initiatives? I think he's probably talking about your personal initiatives. Praveen, if you want to add, please add to that question.
Yeah, that's correct. Not just election campaign. I know you've mentioned that some funding came from corporate world, but how are you continuously doing these initiatives, even after election, and how are you funding all those?
Yeah. So see, so one from my own personal earnings, some portion I allocate for these activities. Second, BPAC, they support me. Third is, by seeing us, many more people come and say, I will do this on my birthday, I will do that. So I channelize that through BPAC, those activities.
That answers. Great. Thank you.
Ramesh, the next one was from Harish Deshpande. A dilemma faced by voters is whether to vote for a candidate or a party, especially for elections that have larger implications, such as state and central government elections. From your experience, which factor drives voters' decision?
Me personally, as a voter, if you ask me, irrespective of whichever election, whether it is a corporate election or it's a Jilla Panchayat or it's a MLA legislative or it's a parliamentary election, I think this, even in the survey, a lot of people have told, a local candidate who understands your need, I think should be voted. Whether who's going to come as a PM or that, we don't have a control. You, by electing that person just because you want that person as a PM, I don't think it makes a difference because you're messing up your constituency for making someone else as the PM. So I feel the right candidate should be voted. However, the current way I see the way people vote is, see, for example, the last election, it was who's going to become the prime minister. For that party, they vote, irrespective of the candidate. If the candidate is not good also, the people vote for that party in MP election. In MLA election also, it is the same. They vote for the party which they feel has high chances to form the government, irrespective of whatever limitation they have. And in the corporate election, it is different. In the corporate, it is they try to vote for a candidate more than the party. But I feel, if you ask me, I will vote for the right candidate, irrespective of who's going to become the PM or who's going to form the government, because the universe will make a right decision. Yeah, go ahead.
Ramesh, Rabba here.
Hey, Rabba.
Yeah, Ramesh, how is your personal life since you came into this public domain? You are a public person now. Yeah, how is your personal life?
It is an excellent question, Rabba. And by the way, I don't know if everyone knows, you're also an upcoming politician. So this is how I manage my life. See, the first priority always goes for family, which is typically a Sunday and after 4 o'clock every day, because my office time is from 8 to 4. So first priority, family, and full time on Sunday to them. Second is business, which is from Monday to Friday. And third is social service, which is on Saturday. But in all these 3 days, suppose family activities come, that will take a precedence. Business activity comes, that will take a precedence. Social service, something comes emergency, that will take a. But academically and chart wise, calendar wise, Sunday, weekday, Saturday. Okay, Rabba?
You have something important, like very important meeting or anything, if something is falling, and you have to, as well as look into your personal affair also the same time or the same day. You have some, like you had met Margaret Alva, Madam Governor, on the same day, there's a rarest appointment you get it. And on the same day, you have some very important personal work. What is your target?
I told you that the precedence. If it is family, then overtake. Even if it is meeting, Margaret Alvaji, family thing will take a precedence. Because for me, the family is the first thing.
Okay.
And
good,
then
good.
second precedence is business. Imagine I need to meet Margaret Alva, but there's a business, $1 million deal sitting on the table. Then the business precedence will come. But the things will change. After 50, I want to totally retire from the business. Then the situation shift. Business will come later. Social service will come on the second track. But still, family will be the first.
Okay,
Ramesh, I think the next.
This is the question I ask for some of the leaders which I get inspired in parties. Like, for example, in BJP, I like Suresh Kumar, who's the education minister. He's also my trainer in BPAC. So I asked Suresh, he kept talking about, no, I did this, I did that. So I asked Suresh, Sureshji, how do you balance your family life? He said that is something which I was not able to do. So in my case, I would not be like that. I will definitely give family the higher precedence. But then, as I told you, right, if we decentralize things, if we do that, I don't think you'll fall into that. Even now, if you see, I have employed more than 84 people in my ward. So right now, even if people come to me, I told you, right, they come to me and ask for a lot of things. I only redirect them. I say, okay, you have a problem in Vasa layout, go meet Rajeshri. You have a problem in this one, you go meet that person. That's it. By the way,
Ramesh.
Nagesh,
Yeah, Rajshekar.
Just I want to add 2 things because he has been using the words regularly, BPAC, BClip. So BPAC is an organization started by Kiran Majumdar Shah. It's called Bangalore Political Action Committee, and under which BClip is a program of 9 months to 1 year. Typically, it includes classroom training as well as some projects as well. These something called, I forgot it exactly, Ramesh, it is, I think, change leadership program, something like incubatorship program.
Yeah, it is actually called Bangalore
Civic leadership program. Yeah, civic leadership program. So this is a 1 year course actually, where people have to attend classes and then undergo all those basics about how someone has to conduct themselves and understand the political system, political ecosystem over here. So just want to, for the benefit of people, just want to tell these 2 things. And the constituency where Ramesh has contested is one of the biggest in Bangalore in terms of the distance wise and area wise. It starts all the way from Kasavanalli. It's almost from Amrita University towards Ramurthy Nagar. And if at all we have to cover by car, it takes almost like 1 hour. So that's the length of this constituency altogether. And it's one of the highest income tax or tax paying organization where 60% of the IT crowd stays.
Thanks, Rajshekar. So Ramesh, I'll continue with the questions. There was one question.
Ramath, it's going to be 10:30. So does people want to continue the question? I'm okay. You take it, Paul.
I mean, Ramesh, if you are okay, I think we can keep going for another few minutes.
I'm
Yeah.
absolutely.
So Ramesh, at this point, your presentation is over. You can continue as long as you want. Please let us know, and then we'll stop it.
So you can continue the questions. But now, when Rajshekhar said, the constituency goes from Kasavanhalli to, to Bhairati and all that places, I just wanted to share you. See, actually, I appreciated the politicians after contesting, because election canvassing is not that easy. That's what I realized. See, canvassing in a constituency like Mahadevpura 115, it's really huge, and the amount of effort is humongous. And every constituency in MLA is close to around 5 lakh plus voters. Okay, and in MP it is almost like 20 lakh voter. So canvassing is very difficult. In fact, what happened to me was the next day after the election voting happened, the morning I collapsed. That's the first time in my life actually I experienced how fainting is. The next day morning, when I got up, I just went to the restroom. I just collapsed. Then they took me to the hospital. They gave me drips and all that. And the doctor said actually there's been heavy load on his body during the election. That's the reason it is like that. So definitely this election, it's a humongous activity. Yeah. Open for questions, Kamath.
So Ramesh, based on that, whatever you mentioned, so how does this politician ensure that they are recharged for all these activities?
Yeah, so what I've seen, how some people do is, I've seen Siddaramaiah ji, after the election finishes, he goes to a resort and really relaxes. Okay. Some people, established parties, what I've seen is they build cadres across wards, across blocks, especially booth level. So there they have a very structured approach. So they just only come for showing their face. So our party is not built so big at the moment. So we only have to go everywhere. So established parties I've seen, they have cadres and they take care of most of the local activities. And they also have the luxury, I see, they have big vans which they will hire and just stand on that and go. But in our case, we had to walk many places and all that kind of stuff.
I think it was evident when he said you have to hire an auto rickshaw as compared to probably some of your other opponents on here. Ramesh, the next question was from Subhash. I mean, you talked about some of the bigger politicians who who've managed to make a lot of money, either through their business, like I think you gave the example of MTB. So his question was, how do people like this handle conflict of interest? Or I suppose that can come to you as well, right? I mean, even though you're not elected or not this thing, you are in social service, and there could be conflict of interest coming up when you're doing social service.
So what can you elaborate? What is the conflict of interest?
Subhash, do you want to? If you're
I can. I mean, I live in Madhepura and I know MTB. I mean, he has the Bagmani Tech Park and stuff. So, for example, for him, a new development would be revenue generating. Let's say he wants to have a new estate or new apartment to be built, which means that he has a certain clout in terms of influencing how things will get prioritized for him, or if his competitor, let's say Brigade or someone else or Godrej or someone, they might affect his property valuation or stuff like that. So it's basically trying to understand how do politicians manage this conflict of interest in terms of their own, some of the decisions might affect their own business directly, so they might choose to do something or not do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was a add-on question. So let me just add to that from Premraj Pillai. That is it not conflict of interest for an MLA MP to continue to run a business? How do you plan to handle
it? So you mean to say insider trading sort of thing?
No. See, it's like take MTB for example, right? Now MTB has that property around, the Samsung has an office there.
Yeah.
There is EMC, Bagmani Tech Park, So let's say because of that, there's a huge amount of traffic on that junction, on that ring road, right? So, for example, how does he, and that means he needs extra power from Bescom, he needs water, there's a lot of things that he can influence. And if, let's say, he has some competitor, let's say some guy from, let's say Prestige, I don't know whether he's a competitor, but let's say he doesn't have good relationship with Prestige. So he can really mess up his Shantiniketan property or something like that. I don't know. It's about giving permissions to something that they could mess up. Yeah. It's just that, I mean, the scale in which MTV operates, and I'm sure it's like anyone else, but it's about I can give those examples because I live there and I know those places. So it's pretty much anywhere else. If it's not it's not against a particular person. It's about generally when they're operating a business, they can the rules that the laws that they make, however they clean they might be, at some stage it's going to affect them in some form or the other.
And just to add to what you're saying, Subhash, Premraj this side, the very fact that you are in a position of power, I would believe unfavorably tilts the balance onto your side in the other side, in the other world. As a businessman or something, people tend to sort of, as Ramesh himself was saying, as a result of his being an MLA, there have been certain benefits he got in the business side. Right? So again,
I mean, there's no right answer. It's just curious. That's it. I mean, it's.
Okay, so I think I got your question. Okay, so let me answer from my school of thought.
No problem.
I'll share you here. See how a good politician versus the one who takes advantage of his position. Okay. What I've seen is corporators. Okay, when they become a corporator, immediately they start using their influence to build the roads around their house, bring more water to their house, a lot of these things. So which I feel is not correct. Okay. Second, using their influence for getting more electricity and all that, bypassing the queue. These are also not correct. So I don't come from that school. I've come to make a difference. So even if you see now, even after doing so many projects, if you see the road near my house is still not done. Actually, for now, whatever work we have done and the connection that I've received in the bureaucratic level and the respect what they have for me, it is just a word. If you put a word to the BBMP commissioner who is very close to BPAC, easily the road can be done. But still, I'm not doing it because I wanted to go to the proper channel. I will tell it to the civic leader who is nominated in my area, which I already told. She goes and raises in the ward committee meeting. Then the ward nodal officer or the corporator prioritize. That's the right channel of doing it. Also, one story which I really liked was in Tamil Nadu. I heard the story from one IPS officer. So in Tamil Nadu, there's a CM called Kamaraj. So when he was a CM, this is long back. I believe he had his mother was staying in a village, and somehow the water connection was given to her mother out of priority. So when he came to the house, he saw that and he asked his mother, please inform them to remove the connection. When you get your thing prioritized, only then you should get it. That I feel is a very inspiring story because even he being the CM, he didn't influence that water connection to come out of the priority. So similarly for people like MTV Nagraj, I've not gone detail into his story, but if he's using his influence, I feel that is not right. Even getting a power and influencing for your business is not correct. You should be like a normal person and go through the same queue. And me, I will not bypass that. Even Vijayanand knows, me and Vijayanand, we share a good equation in HPCL. We never misused our power for any of the things. We never crossed our thing for getting a HPC connection or nothing. We went by the whatever the priority only. Even in fact, the cylinder filling when it used to come to a client, we will never bypass the queue. Even if that person comes and says, "Can you give priority?" We'll say no. It's come in the queue. They have to come in that process only. So I feel good. That is what we have come to make a difference.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I mean, thanks for clarifying. I mean, that's great answer. I think it's I think for us as the next generation of people here, I think it's our responsibility to actually find people in our own constituency and then vote such people like yourselves rather than vote for the party. I think it's in a democracy, it's a responsibility of ourselves as well. I think I don't know what others feel, but I think it's something that we have to keep an eye on people like yourselves and bring them up forward, I think.
See, but if you see, there will not be a Ramesh very well. It will be you. You can make the difference. Can you see the slide? That's why I said, be the change you want to see.
Yeah, of course.
So you don't worry about winning or losing. You contest and make a difference. Then you will see a lot more good leaders will come.
Absolutely.
But on that note,
all the best. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Vijayanand here. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Can I just put a word? Yeah. Thanks, Amit. Yeah, me and Ramesh were called Rahu and Ketu in Bangalore HPCL plant because we used to go and be the Grahana for all the people, be it our managers or our senior regional manager or salespeople or dealers or lorry drivers or employees or anybody. Like we were so troublemakers for them, because we used to ask a lot of questions and we were the only people working for the company. Rest of the people were working for somebody else. So even we did not get LPG connections on by bypassing. We applied and then we got. And the same connection I'm using till today. And we paid the complete amount. Though deposit money need not have to be paid, but we both paid the deposit amount also. And many people tried to bribe us for doing a lot of bad things. We stood strong. There were several other things also which happened to us, which I don't want to discuss here. But then once you are very strong from your younger days, that makes you go for a longer run. And then it gives you good results. So what me and Ramesh, we used to do a lot of talking even during our HPCL days. What we understood is when kids are being brought up, they should be given very high moral and high value system. So that will actually build up a very good citizen base. Once our children are with good ethics and do the good things, then definitely we can be the change. So that's all I wanted to say. And wishing Ramesh all the best for next election.
Thank you.
Vijayanand, thanks.
Vijayanand,
I don't know if you want to say that or ask that or not, but Rudramurthy has anyway asked that question. That Ramesh, the question is, like we see in movies, have you had any threats on you?
Oh, yeah. If you want, you can record this also. So during the election, one of the reporters was paid around 60,000 rupees to write a wrong report. Then I was given an offer indirectly, to take a lump sum amount and remove my nomination. All these were there. But then they knew that, I'm firm. I'm not come here to take this money or all that kind of stuff. So there were all these things. But if you are firm, the universe supports you.
We had threats since 1998, so we are not new to threats.
Yeah.
That's why I said, Vijayanand, you don't want to say or not. Anyway, there is a question actually. Sorry, I'll just keep going. I mean, in the interest of time, and there are enough questions actually. And people, if you have questions which are related, please do chime in. Like Vijay.
Can I ask a question? Rashikar here.
Yeah, go ahead, Rashikar.
Yeah. So being very closely part of your campaigning and other stuff, and also being a voter in your constituency where you contested, my first question is, what groundwork you did before filing the nomination for the constituency? Second thing is a slightly personal question. When you were offered a ticket by AAP and when you were adamant to be an independent candidate, but finally chose Swaraj. So what difference did you see between AAP and Swaraj? Two questions like. Thank you.
I'll add a third to that, connected to the election, which was asked by Premraj Pillai. Given your experience, if you could go back in time, what could you have done differently to win?
All right, I think good questions. So what was your first question, Rajshekar? I missed that.
No, what was your groundwork before you started filing for the for this
there is no
nomination?
Groundwork. Yeah, there was no groundwork. In fact, when Whitefield Rising came to my house and they asked me, "Can you tell me any social work you've done?" I didn't have an answer. Something which is significantly, I said, "No, I've not done any major social work." But my intention is to do. That was my answer. So there was no groundwork. But my intention was, let's come and make a difference. Okay. Then the next question is why you didn't, take up ticket and you took Swaraj. So in politics, YYG has taught me one thing: never to answer a controversial question. But still, I'll tell you why I joined Swaraj. Why I didn't join up, we'll leave it for now. In Swaraj, I liked the fact that they will not give a ticket.
Do you want me to pause the recording of this?
No, that's okay. That's okay. हम बाजीगर है ना तो चलेगा. So I like that they don't give ticket to the criminals. That part I liked it. I like the fact that he said that you will not get elected, but do you have a 50 years vision? I like that. So all these processes which they followed, I liked all those things. Because for me, winning was not the criteria. For me, the criteria was I want to get associated with an ecosystem and make a difference in a small way. But then right now, if you see whatever you see, we have been able to make big impacts. In fact, now if you see, we are working on a project for medical. So shortly, we want to implement a thing, in every hospital, we want them to put a price list of all their prices, what they're having, give an estimate of whatever they're going to do before the thing, itemized bills. Like there's a lot of major changes also now we have started to take up those kind of projects. So which I thought will make a small way. Now it is going really a big way, even without electing. And then what was your question, Kamath?
Basically, that was Premraj Pillai's question. That is, if you could do something different to win, what would that be?
Yeah, so the difference was I didn't do any social work, right? So what difference I could have done is do the social work, which I'm doing now. Second thing is we don't have a spread across all the blocks like what any other major party has. So I would love to have, every person in every booth, every street. My vision would be, every street in my ward or my constituency, I should have one leader who works unbiased. I don't mind, he can be in any party. He can be in this party, that party, whatever, but they should serve the people unbiased and not misuse their position. So what I would have done is every street I would have had one leader, and that would have been the difference.
Is that not sort of? Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and plus, if I had around 26 lakhs of rupees, which was the thing, I could have made a major impact. Yeah.
Okay. Just to add here, I guess just to add over here, through Whitefield Rising and up had actually asked me to contact Ramesh to contest from their party, and it was on a platter for him to buy the party ticket, but he refused it.
Thanks, Raj. So I'll ask another question this is from Vijay Bhatt. That I hear that the politicians' cut is 15%. How do you compete? I think it is compete considering that the government budget is huge.
Yeah, okay. So here, as I told you, right, I've come to make a difference. So see whether 15%, 10%, these are the politicians whom I don't like. That's the reason I've come in. All right. So if I were the CM of Karnataka, okay, if I were the CM of Karnataka, all your questions, what you asked, I think close to around 70 people have registered, and all of the problems, what you said, potholes, that is clean, whatever, all that for that, the only solution is Mahatma Gandhi's dream of that Gram Swaraj. So I will not take a decision. See, a CM will not take a decision. A MLA will not take a decision. A corporator will not take a decision. The decision will be taken by a citizen. So a citizen, let's say Rajesh Shekhar is in Kadugodi in 5th Cross. So Rajesh Shekhar will take a decision that whether he wants a road over there, whether he wants a portfolio to build. And his question would be answered by the area Sabha people. They will discuss in the ward committee meeting, and they will be given. For example, my ward now has got 20 crores, the nodal officer. This 20 crore how to spend is not decided by the CM or the MLA or the corporator. It will be decided by Rajesh Shekhar and his team. So when we do that, there's no 10%, 15%, nothing. You need to ask whether Rajesh Shekhar will take 10% for making the decision. That is left to the citizen.
If option is given, I think I can take it and give back to alumni or somebody else.
So let me move on. I think Vijay Bhatt again had another question that do all party candidates work around the clock? I see most party leaders working around the clock. Also, what is party worker work time? I think what's the amount of work a typical party worker puts in, I think. And probably this question is coming from the perspective of larger parties, but maybe in general true as well.
Actually. So whichever party, the largest, small party, the concept is the same. So if you see the situation in 1950s and the situation now in 2020 is different. So in that time, people used to work round the clock. I remember Kamarajan and all, I believe they used to, even Modi also I heard, he only sleeps 4 hours a day. So some people really, they work down the clock because they want to make a difference. Even me, if I take up something, I will never sleep also. It'll be on my mind. However, 80% of the people at the moment, they're not more worried about, that's what I've seen, worried about the benefit of the citizen. They're only worried about the next election, the next 15% cut, whatever you're saying, those kind of things. But still, there are some people, like as I told you, right? I like Mr. Suresh Kumar in BJP, certain people in JDS, certain people in Congress. These all people I've seen, they really work sincerely for making things a difference. So for them, there is no timings. It's like when I asked Suresh Kumar, who was the education minister, he said, I work, like he works like a dog. And so that's the reason his family thing is going for a toss. So there are people who work. If you ask me, I have put my timings as Saturday as my time for the social work. In major parties, good people who work round the clock. Modi is one example, as I told you, right? He sleeps only 4 hours. But then I don't think that is a good way of doing, because since I come from the corporate background and I come from the decentralized way, I would never encourage or happy with people who work round the clock, because in a country where you have more than 1.3 billion population or whatever, why do you need to work? If you empower the local people, like a person like Rajshekhar, if he's empowered to do his things, why should Modi be working around the clock? So it is contrary. I don't think he's a good leader who's working around the clock.
I think there's a sort of connected question to that, which Amit had asked. You mentioned Suresh Kumar as one of those people, one of those politicians that you admire, though you may not agree with his style of working, but that you admire as a politician. Amit's question was, can you mention 2 or 3 politicians outside your party that you admire, and why do you like them? I think you answered about Suresh Kumar. If maybe others beyond Nima Suresh Kumar, as he goes by.
See, in JDS, there's one person, I don't remember his name. So I liked him. There's one corporator, I don't know her name. Okay, so she's also a good politician. I think she's from Congress. Manmohan Singh, I like him because of his knowledge. So I feel that's what, even in my election campaign, the one which we had in the Whitefield Rising in Whitefield, I gave this message to all the other 5 candidates also. See, during the election, we should compete against each other. After the election, whoever wins, we should support them. So I feel if I were the PM of our country, I would take people like Manmohan Singh, give him a position and help take his expertise. So Manmohan Singh I like. Atal Bihari Vajpayee I like, because I liked his thing that when certain things didn't go right, he had the boldness to say I will step down. So I liked Atal Bihari Vajpayee. These are the few people from other parties.
Thanks, Ramesh. If you're okay, I will keep going on. Another couple of more questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Unless you want me to stop, I can answer it.
Yeah, okay. So I think Subudhi asked a slightly philosophical question. I think that do you believe in a small evil for the greater good concept?
In the current situation, yes. Why? I'll tell you why. Because see, when I did a survey with the citizens themselves, they're okay. They know that they can't get 100%, because if you see the Pareto's law, which says 80-20, any sample that you take, it says it can't be 100% pure. So there will be a 80-20 ratio. So keeping that, expecting a person to be 100% perfect is impossible if you take the Pareto's law. And in current situation, my analysis with citizens, they're okay if the guys little. If you see the result in Delhi, they're okay. They know that these are the limitations of Aam Aadmi Party, but still they elected them because they know with this limitation also we're okay. Thoda bahut yahan wahan chalta hai. So the citizens are okay. And plus with Pareto's law, I feel it's okay, because we can't expect someone to be 100% perfect. Because you need to be Chanakya also at some point of time, because you need to take a right decision for the benefit of others. But if you ask me, if I will come, I will try to see if I can become at least 99.9%. But still, I've seen situations sometimes you have to, not because of you, because of your ecosystem, you have to bend.
Thanks, Ramesh. That was a very straight answer, very straightforward answer, actually. Thank you. Next
Ramesh, one quick question. How long do you think you want to continue in this political career?
See, as I told you, right, I just came to make a difference in my constituency. If my elected representatives change and they implement this 74th amendment, they empower people like Rajshekhar, and the solutions like clean water, clean road, transparency in what they're doing, accountability, all these things, if my elected representative, I think my job is done. I'm not talking about I'll make a major difference in national team, state team. That's what even in Swaraj India, they told me come to the national team, you can add a lot of things. I said, no. I don't think I can make my job. Then they said, come to the state team. I said, no. Then they said, come to the district team. Even the district team also, I said, no. I said, I'll just focus on my ward and constituency, because I can make a difference there. I can't come and make a difference on, at the national level. Say, for example, you're making a policy. I don't think I can make a difference. But I can make a difference definitely in Nakundi. You can see the differences what we made. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so till such time, I see a change in my elected representative because I know for sure it is very difficult for me to win an MLA election. I only know if something very major happens. But if I'm able to change my elected representatives and they do those things, then I think my job is done. Then I'll get back and continue in a bigger way of what I'm doing.
So,
I would want to be in Hawaii Island and enjoying life.
okay. So, I think Murthy, I think, asked us slightly a question which is a little different from what has come so far, Ramesh, which is, what's your opinion about using IT? And I think, given your background of Rexinix and etc., to reduce corruption, transparency, and enabling the citizen.
So IT is actually a powerful tool. It should be used, but people don't use it because that brings transparency. So if you see GST is an implementation which is done 3 years back in 2017. That has by and large reduced a lot of these golmals what these corrupt businessmen do because of the transparency. So I was seeing how GST is impacting that. It has brought so much of transparency of doing business across India. So if that can do for business people, then imagine you bring transparency in governance. And definitely that do. And my own experience, this Corona barrier, we had implemented a CRM. 18,000 volunteers, they were headless. When I go to the DIPR's office in around March, April, I would see thousands of people cluttering the DIP office, not knowing. They're saying, give me work, but they're not able to manage. Then when we implemented the CRM, that crowd is gone. They're all gone back to their wards, constituency, and they're doing the work seamlessly. Just because the person who was governing them, there was a lady who was HR, her name is Pooja. So she and the people were getting the information and it was solved. It was like this. I was totally astounded. When we put that, within few days, that crowd disappeared and they were on the ground what they were supposed to do, which was going and delivering the cooked food to the migrant workers. And 18,000 people were on the job. Just because they didn't have an IT system, there's such a big chaos. So if one IT system can reduce that kind of a chaos for lockdown 1.0, then for governance, if you put, it'll be amazing. And definitely, if I were the CM, I would implement IT because IT will bring a lot of transparency.
So I think on the idea of the local Swaraj, as you were talking about, right? There was a question which is that from Vijay, but that he has, I have some ideas which are for common good. How do I follow up and get those implemented? Say the way roads are done, for example.
So I feel in his own ward, he can go and attend the ward committee meetings. That is the basic, that's the LKG of those things. And get connected to their ward level committees, put those ideas over there. And typically, if you see, these are all ideas which goes back to the bureaucrats. So there are three things in the government. One is actually the politician, which I'll call as the legislation. Second is the bureaucrats, which are these IAS officers, KS officers, and other people. And third is the judiciary system, which is the law. I mean, like the court and other things. So all these three has to work in tandem. Unfortunately, there's a huge disconnect between these three people. But however, if you want to make a difference, you have to coordinate between these three. One is the legislation. Second is the bureaucrats. Third is the judiciary. But to climb up to those people, the ward committees at your ward level is the first step.
Thanks, Ramesh. There was a question from Pradeep Subudhi that I don't know if he's going at something specific here, but how would you answer if someone posed a serious ethical allegation on your party leader?
Yeah, so here, that's what I told. Rajshekhar asked me, why did you select Swaraj India? So in Swaraj India, Yogendra Yadav and the Presidium, there are 10 people in the Presidium. They have given us the kind of a rights that if we feel something is wrong with YY or the Presidium, we can raise our voice. And that will be, action will be taken on them. And all the minutes of meeting of our Presidium meeting or the local level district meetings, everything is available transparently on the website. So they can always go back and say, this was a point raised by Ramesh against this person in the Presidium. What is the action you take? So that is what I like. So you can take action against them, and if you tell them to step down, they'll step down. If they don't step down, there can be action taken against the president.
So do you have if you're on, do you have a follow-up on that, or can I go forward? Okay, let me go forward.
Yeah, actually, okay.
Yeah.
So, my previous question versus this are slightly connected. So we are in the world of grayness. So whatever is small for you, like small evil, may be big for somebody else. Whatever is a small compromise, a small crime can be a big crime, or may not be a qualifier for the value systems for a good politician. So this question came up because I wanted a healthy debate on a certain topic where, Kenneth posed a question about Yogendra Yadav's actions in the past. So these things happen. No politician is perfect. But where do we draw a line? Where do we draw a line that this is acceptable? Somebody having a criminal record versus somebody doing mistakes, crimes, and not convicted, and has compromised value system. How do you or your party go about this allegation? So let's say somebody posed you a question on Yogendra Yadav. Would you go and ask him that, and would he address to that?
Yes, absolutely. You tell me right away what is the allegation you have. I'll right away send an email after this to him.
All right. Okay. In a very healthy sense. In a very healthy sense.
Absolutely. No, so that is the freedom what we got in Swaraj India.
Yes.
So tell me what
yes.
is the allegation in your. As soon as I finish this, I will write an email to him, and by tomorrow morning I'll get a reply. And if that reply is not good, I'll ask that to be discussed in the presidium. And if it is wrong, we can ask him to step down from the presidium also. That is the kind of.
I'm just thrilled at your answer. This is something we need across party lines. I mean, yes. I don't have anything personal against any party, any leader, but that's it. I mean, whatever is the allegation, I think it's best that whoever has experienced that issue must address it with you. Because
earlier also I got such things. Immediately I put a call with him and then send him a mail, and it was replied. So because what happens, what I've seen is the media people make a major role in terms of the information percolation. And as I told you, right, the print media, I see they're fairly better. So when the media communicates wrong, it's our responsibility to empower people with the right information. And as I told you, my why is that empowering people with information. And I don't mind, even if you see my story of going to the nationalized bank head, is to empower information. Same here also, I'll go to the topmost people and get the right information, and then you can take a decision with that information.
Can you tell me, everybody really wants good candidates to come, but there is some systemic problem within our environment. Let's say when you were contesting the elections, I sent your information to everybody I knew in Bangalore. Not a single person actually. Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so not a single person sent me a message saying, "Oh wow, this is great." Especially most of my contacts were engineers, but there is a lack of interest from people to even see good candidates coming up. I see that as a major problem versus other things.
Yeah, actually, this is an excellent point which you pointed out.
Can I add Ramesh, before you answer, can I add a rejoinder to that? I think Thapa asked something which is very connected, which is how is it possible for criminals to contest election from the jail itself? How do they pass scrutiny actually? So slightly connected, but I thought I'll just include those two into one question.
Yes, I'll tell you. See in the election. So I'll answer your question first, Kamath. See, when you put the nomination for the election, right? It is just a self-declaration and a notary sign. They don't go and check it in the police station, the returning officer. Okay, so when you're contesting, you do a self-declaration saying that these are the things, and a notary puts it. And based on the notary signature and the self-declaration, the returning officer accept the application. However, okay, after the election, if there is a serious allegation, then they can cancel the candidature. But what I've seen is typically during the election process, the returning officer is in midst of so many activities that they oversee this. They just go by the notary sign saying that notary said is everything is fine. But there is a provision after the election, you can re-scrutinize that application, and if the candidate is found criminal, the application can be, I mean, even if he wins, that can be cancelled and a re-election can be done. Okay, the next question about, what is the other question which he had? I forgot that question.
Subhuti, I know you say you've asked more than a quota, but you'll have to repeat that.
Sorry, my daughter is a little hungry. So I asked that when you contested for elections, I personally asked you send me your information. Yeah, and I forwarded it to all my friends, even my brother, everybody who were in Bangalore, to kind of support you. But hardly anybody even asked me a second question or said, that's great. I am forwarding it to others. I don't see that enthusiasm as to there is a great candidate. I mean, KREC Suratkal cannot be a small brand for somebody in Bangalore. That such good candidates are not supported wholeheartedly. I was little taken aback. Why do people not even get enthused that good quality people are coming into politics?
Okay, so Subhuti, I got the question. So here is my answer. See, what I've typically seen, I'll tell you, I mean, this is a very, bad experience I had while campaigning. Okay. So some of you are in Bangalore, you'll know Marathali, right? So I was standing in the Marathali bridge with my pamphlets. Okay. So whoever is coming, I'm giving the pamphlet to them saying, no, hey, I'm a candidate contesting for this. So there were certain people who were walking, educated people. So when I went and gave them, I'm saying, hey, like let's say this is my whatever. So I said, hey, this is my pamphlet. The way they saw, like as though there's no one standing in front of them. Like, I'm a wall, and as though they never heard anything, they're just passing like that. Those are all very disappointments. See, for example, someone who's contesting, when you don't listen to what they're saying, you just go like as though a beggar is standing on the street and you don't care about that. That is what I see the educated people were doing. So what I realized was that they have lost faith in this political system because, election after election, people come, they make promises, they don't keep. So I've seen they've lost the faith in the election system itself. That's the reason if you see the voting percentage in Bangalore is somewhere around 45 to 50%. The 50% who don't vote are all the educated people. In fact, I know many of my friends during this assembly election, so who were there in Mahadevpura constituency, they say, Ramesh, I'm sorry, we are going on a vacation, I can't vote. So that is the kind of an attitude I see the educated people have in Bangalore. I don't know about India, but at least I've seen that here. So I see there's a major reformation which is required for the educated people to participate in democracy. Also, if you see this project which I did on solid waste management, to my surprise, the people who put garbage on the street are the educated people. And the people who clean are the uneducated Paura Karmikas. So when I asked these educated people why you're putting, the answer they gave is everyone is putting, I'm putting. That's the kind of careless answer they give. So I see the HR, in the organizations, definitely this project I want to take up. Through the HR, we need to educate these educated people. Otherwise, I see this will be the situation.
Ramesh, on that note, there is a question which I think is relevant here, which is Premaraj Pillai asks this question: how do you keep your motivation high?
Okay, that's
can
nice.
I add what Ramesh said?
Bolo Biju.
Okay. See, Ramesh also worked in Bangalore district during COVID. I worked in Mysore district during COVID. Ramesh got super support. We did not get any support. The IAS officers or the IPS officers are the cream of the cream. 20 lakh people write the exam and only a few thousands pass. But the people below them are all screwed up people. They're all politically corrupt, politically connected, and all. They come from various backgrounds and they're not motivated at all to work. We were working on war footing, and the IAS officers were working on war footing 24/7, but we are not getting the support from the lower staff. Not getting data of Excel sheet of 10 columns. we were not given that data. And there were only 72 patients in the entire Mysore district to tell what to do. So this is the kind of bureaucratic problems also we do have. Whenever an election comes, I make sure that I take my kid along with me and my wife. We go to the election booth and we vote, and I show all the things to my kid. See, it is we as citizens, we need to go vote and then come back, proudly put it on Facebook and put it on your WhatsApp status. Yes, we have voted. We lack that. We discuss a lot about politics day in, day out. But when it comes to voting, we never go there. And the other pathetic thing is, we all discuss and we never go back to government to help. How can we do it? How can we make a change? At least in Mysore district, off late, we have been very active, along with STEP, going around and asking people what can we do for you and how can it be done. But not everything is rosier. Not everything is as we think. It takes its own time to change. But we should not lose our faith in the system. It is a wonderful system. It has been working for years, and things have not just happened overnight. We need to understand. India has not grown overnight. Yes, we keep complaining 70 years, nothing has happened. But there are super highways that have been built, super tunnels that have been built. Konkan Railway, which Britishers gave up, we have completed that project. And even in Leh Ladakh, the recent tunnel is a fantastic thing what we have done. There are so many projects which Government of India has done, many other state governments have done. We don't glorify them. We only keep speaking about small issues and then we fight. So what I want to tell people at this point is, in spite of fighting, why don't we approach people and try to make that small change? Like we did a small survey for all the artisans, we did a small survey for MSME, and then we submitted that report to the district commissioner saying that yes, we can take it forward and make revenue policies based on the feedback what people are giving. And we need to proactively get involved along with the bureaucracy. Then people will welcome you and go ahead. Because we are afraid of going to and meeting officers, we don't take that step. I think if we start doing that, definitely we can solve a lot of problems. This is what I learned during COVID times. Before COVID, I was staying at home and working from home. And during COVID, I was the only person in Mysore carrying lunchbox and going and working in various offices. So that really gave me a kick. And today we are able to do a lot of activities. So until unless we don't get involved, I think we cannot make a change. Thank you.
Yeah, true. Very true, Vijayan. And to answer your question, what keeps you motivated is the question you asked, right? See, as I told you, right, my why is I believe that when people are empowered with information, when they have the right information, they're empowered. So when I empower them with the right information, I'm motivated. Of course, there are bad times, but then, my upbringing in a small family and the challenges what we faced in KREC, the hardships what we went through, the struggles, all these are compared to that, these are negligible. Yeah. So we have to self-motivate ourselves. Again, in business also, I'm sure you had a lot of sessions in business. Entrepreneurship is like a marathon. So many hardships you get in entrepreneurship. So when you face all that, these are very minor. Yeah. Any more questions, Kamal?
I think there's one more. Rudramurthi's question, I think you've answered. So I'll ask, this is the last question and we'll probably wind up after that. This is from Amit. A slightly higher plane question. There are considered to be two models. I think to politics, to governance, I think in general. The American model of primacy to individualism, personal freedoms, capitalism. Or the Chinese model where the collective well-being is more important than the individual, the Confucianism thought. Which according to you is the better model for India?
See, right now if you see the democratic model, which has been formed by the constitution, I feel that is a fantastic model. See, and also if you noticed our model of democracy in terms of major things, although we say there are so many challenges, Vijayan pointed out so many good things have also happened. So I remember in the year 2008, I was in San Francisco. So I could see that was actually, that is the time when Barack Obama got elected as a president and for the first time in US. But I could see that there was a major economic downturn over there. Any restaurant I go, all they're written, we are closing down, we are closed down. And I would be the only customer there. Okay, that was the kind of economic crash they had. So what I realized sitting there in San Francisco at that time is that an economy like India it's stable. It doesn't grow very high, it doesn't go very low, but we stably grow because of all these democratical system what we put, because of which all these things, see, the SBI is governed, the RBI is governing a lot of things. So I feel from my experience, the democratic model works very well, which Mahatma Gandhi has envisioned 70 years back. And also the 74th Constitutional Amendment, which I was mentioning, where it says that, you need to have the local governance, which again is part of the democracy only, where a local citizen is empowered to take a decision. I would vote for democratic. Our current model is fine. Only thing is it has to be enforced. And for enforcing it, you need the right kind of elected representatives. And for the right kind of elected representatives, you can't expect that one fine day, one good leader would come. You have to be the change. So wherever you are, let's say like Rajshekhar is in Kadugodi, he can contest for the corporate election in Kadugodi. Let's say Kamath is in Jayanagar, you can contest for the corporate road there. Whatever, Vijayanand is in Mysore, he can contest in Mysore. Just contest and you see, you can make a difference over there. Like, see, for example, even I didn't win, but these are all the things what we were able to make a difference. I'll tell you a simple example. In my ward, there is a lady called Rajeshri. So she, for the last 2 years, she'll be struggling to get her water problem solved, a lot of her problems solved. But now, because of our involvement with her, I would not say complete credit, but what has happened is that has empowered her with a lot more things. So she was telling me 2 years back, she went to one forum in Marathali where the BWSSP officials were called. And they were given one by one chance to speak. And when her chance came, the session got over. She could not speak. But today, the situation is turned around. Just 2 days back, the BWSSB's AEE, along with his entire team, comes to her house and hands over her certificate saying, we appreciate you for doing rainwater harvesting. And today, she gets 20,000 liters of water in her house. And last week, she solved her road. There was potholes in her road. So today she went and attended the ward committee meeting. Last month, she attended the ward committee meeting. So the engineer came and fixed the potholes in her road. And today, just before this meeting, she came to my house. She said today she attended the ward committee meeting. And now that person to fix an LED light on her street is coming. So now if you see, these are all a best example of local governance. So I would bat my eye on democracy.
Ramesh, thank you so much for this absolutely wonderful session. Straight from the heart, and really appreciate your thinking.
One thing I forgot to mention before you say your word of thanks.
Yeah, I was about to give you the last word. I think we'll give you the last word and we'll wind up after that.
That's of my slide, but then it's in the slide script, I do not. See, I want to say right from bottom of my heart, a lot of the improvements what I've seen is because of KRC people. Right from the day I studied in the college to the political, even in the political journey also, KRC people, and they're told not to mention their names. You've been a great support to me. And even when I was canvassing and all this and I was tired, I would think about the KRC people. I'd say, thank you so much, KRC guys. You've been a great support to me. I mean, there are so many people in the world, but KRC guys, you were on top who always supported me, So I thank all those people who don't want to be named. In a way, directly. In fact, people came from Malaysia to Bangalore and, with a check saying, Ramesh, I'm helping you with this. Do the right thing. Then one person come from the US for my nomination. And, he takes care of all the people who are standing outside, taking care of their juices, this, and comes and says, all the best. So all these things, so many things KRC people have done. So from my bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to all of you. And over to you for the closing comments.
No, Ramesh, I think wanted to leave the last words to you. Thank you again so much for an absolutely wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Ramesh, for all the work you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll stop here.
Ramesh. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.
Stop the recording.
Yeah.
All the best. Rabba here.
Thanks.